please don't call me arrogant, because what I'm saying is true. I think I'm a special one.
Hated, adored, never ignored. Jose Mourinho, the special one. A man celebrated by many of the footballing world for his complete contagious charisma and his ability to get one over the people that steps in his way. This can be from journalists to football clubs to managers and his own players. No one is safe around Jose Mourinho, and multiple times across his entire career as a manager, he's created many enemies along the way. Many becomes victims in which the fallout of the battle in question usually leads to them being viewed in a different way, and usually a worse way, by the grander footballing world. Jose Mourinho has many victims in which he has twisted and made people view them in a different way. Or sometimes there could be battles where Jose Mourinho gets one up on the person in question. Tell me down below in the comments your thoughts about Jose Mourinho. Where would you rank him in terms of your all-time greatest ever managers? And like, subscribe, and Mazzola Designs, my design company, link is down below for the best prints you can get, and enjoy the video. Paul Pogba. The year is 2016 and Jose Mourinho has just become Manchester United manager, and this is Manchester United we're talking about here. We need not just a big name to represent the club, but also a big name to be on the pitch, a marketable star quality player. And that name is of course Paul Pogba. Signed in the summer, and you've got an incredible season ahead. Paul Pogba with Zlatan Ibrahimovic, with Jose Mourinho. This could be the new era of Manchester United, and it was kind of sketchy. What followed in the next 2 to 3 years was complete chaos, and the relationship between Paul Pogba and Jose Mourinho took control of the entire football club, and the fallout from this situation with Paul Pogba and the stain that it caused lasted all the way to the end of his Manchester United tenure. The most important thing to remember here is that Jose Mourinho is somewhat of a blunt figure. He is someone to take control of the situation. He's an authoritarian. He wants to take authority and dominate the rest of the team, to create a somewhat siege mentality to get behind one man in question. This worked fantastically at Chelsea in 2005 under Jose Mourinho, 2004 under Porto, and 2010 under Inter Milan. Jose Mourinho, when he gets the entire squad to believe in him and his values, is an unstoppable force, and one that is very hard to break down, not only physically but mentally. Back in the day, of course, he was all about structure and the defence. That was always the case. It wasn't by accident why the great Chelsea 04-05 team has to this day still the best defensive record and the best home record. This leads to many situations where Jose Mourinho's blunt nature can collide with many different types of characters, Paul Pogba being one of the most famous ones. Times that Mourinho would call out Paul Pogba for his inconsistency, his lack of defensive contribution, and all round a lack of effort. A part of this could be that Paul Pogba is known for his flair, for his unpredictability, and his creative nature will lead to him going off by the rule, which is absolutely criminal in a Jose Mourinho team. You can't be unpredictable, you've got to be a unit. and that will simply not work under Jose Mourinho. This led to many times that Paul Pogba was left on the bench, leading to much more media speculation. And altogether, this creates a dark cloud that hovers over the entire club for the entire time of his tenure. And that stuck with Paul Pogba all the way until the end. And some may say even sticks with Paul Pogba now, with how that relationship occurred and the media attention that it got appears to have stuck and maybe skewed the reputation and the view of Paul Pogba by the modern day fan now. Dele Alli. Okay, one very important thing to caveat here. Prior to the very big interview that came out with Gary Neville and Dele Alli, the view by pretty much everyone that Dele Alli under Jose Mourinho's time at Tottenham Hotspur possibly was the most impacted in terms of the hit at the reputation and confidence of a footballer because of a very simple thing. Documentary, an Amazon documentary called All or Nothing, Tottenham Hotspur. This all unfolded under Mourinho's tenure at Tottenham Hotspur between 2019 and 2021, where Dele Alli was an up-and-coming talent with incredible creative spark and with a massive goal threat. Never really shown that just before Jose Mourinho came in, and he became a very key part of the storyline of his time at Tottenham Hotspur. How do you get the best out of Dele Alli? In an infamous clip from this documentary came a time where Jose Mourinho and Dele Alli had a one-to-one conversation inside his office where Jose Mourinho called out to his face the lack of effort and the lack of care for his career in front of Dele Alli, insisting to him that he will regret the decisions he's making right now, and he will look back on this moment knowing that he could have done something to change it. There were some early signs that he was getting better, Dele Alli, that he was getting better under Jose Mourinho. However, over time, his form still took a dip, his game time got less and less, and his impact on the pitch also took part with it. This documentary clip alone really impacted how Dele Alli was viewed, and he later left Tottenham Hotspur only a year or so after Jose Mourinho got sacked. He went on to struggle over at Besiktas and at Everton, and recently, about a year ago, he came out with an interview about his time struggling with the current situation and some ghost of his past as well that he is still dealing with, and this gained a completely different insight and view onto the world of Dele Alli. Despite this information, people still view Dele Alli in a certain way, and Jose Mourinho will always be connected into what people see as a downfall of Dele Alli. Pep Guardiola. Jose Mourinho v Pep Guardiola has to be, and it probably is, the most famous and enduring managerial rivalry in modern football history. This mainly ensued during 2010 to 2012 under Barcelona and Real Madrid. The best part about this rivalry wasn't just it was the two biggest clubs in world football, but it was a complete head-to-head of different philosophies of playing football. Mourinho, known for his pragmatic siege mentality and defensive approach to the game, prioritizing results over the all-round playing style. However, in contrast, Guardiola is associated with possession-based attacking philosophy known as tiki-taka in this era, and have a massive emphasis on ball retention and intricate passing movements. And this can still be seen at Man City now. Maybe not predominantly a tiki-taka style of play, but possession and completely suffocating your opponents. That is Pep Guardiola's style of play. However, what made it better was the year prior between Barcelona and Jose Mourinho's Inter Milan. It was in this game where Jose Mourinho has forever a red mark on Pep Guardiola, where despite having a much lesser team, not too much of a lesser team compared to Barcelona, but this is the great Barcelona of 2008 to 2012. The Barcelona team that only the year prior would win the treble. Mourinho triumphed on Pep Guardiola with a very physical, aggressive style of play, highlighting every single strength and weakness of the opponent, having a psychological edge in the end to get a 3-2 aggregate victory at the Camp Nou. getting fouls in a strategic way to disrupt the flow of the game. And one of the best quotes came out of this by Mourinho. Quoted, "When you enjoy what you do, you don't lose your hair." And Guardiola is bold. He doesn't enjoy football. Remarkable. Of course, this is not a victim in a way that Pep Guardiola is not respected in any way. Most will say that he is respected more than Mourinho. However, in this part of the footballing world, this was seen as quite a big deal. Rafa Benitez. In 2004, both Jose Mourinho and Rafa Benitez moved to England, with Benitez at Liverpool and Mourinho at Chelsea. What happened next was an unforgettable battle where both Chelsea and Liverpool would play 15 times in 3 seasons, creating a wide range of memories and battles between Rafa and Jose. Let us begin with the biggest one, 2005 and the ghost goal. In the Champions League semi-finals at Anfield, Luis Garcia scored in that game, which would later send Liverpool to the Champions League final. I think something called Istanbul happened next. It maybe is a big deal. And in that game was a goal that was cleared off the line, given as a goal by the linesman and the referee at the time. Jose Mourinho, of course, did not like this and made it very clear. Quoted, "You can say the linesman scored. It was a goal coming from the moon or from the Anfield Road stands." Mourinho, of course, refused to believe that the ball did go over the line. This even got so wild that Benitez's wife came out to make a bit of a dig at Mourinho, saying that we tidy up his messes, in which Mourinho replied, and I quote, "I think the lady needs to occupy her time. If she takes care of her husband's diet, she will have less time to speak about me." Mourinho also went on to take a dig at Benitez for destroying, and I quote, "the best team in Europe," after Benitez took the reins over at Inter Milan, after Jose just won the Champions League there. This led to Benitez getting sacked from this job only 6 months later. Juan Mata. Now up next is just a variety of different spats that Jose had with many players throughout his career, but are much more shorter stories. One of them being Juan Mata. When Jose Mourinho joined Chelsea back again for the second time, he didn't take much of a favouring towards Juan Mata, which was quite a problem, as just prior he was an incredible player for the Chelsea team. He just won the club's Player of the Year award in successive seasons. However, he lost his place in the team almost immediately and was the beginning of the end of his Chelsea career. Jose made it very clear that he preferred Oscar in Juan Mata's position. Juan Mata had no choice but to leave, and for many people is seen as the best part of his entire career, and many questions are still answered of what would have happened to him if Jose Mourinho never came in and took a more liking to Oscar. Iker Casillas. When Jose Mourinho joined Real Madrid, he wanted to make a point, and he decided to pick one certain player to make that point, and that player was, of course, Iker Casillas. The handling of the Real Madrid's legend situation has always been a large source of criticism towards Jose Mourinho, and this led to an uproar between many players within the club, one of them being Pepe and Sergio Ramos. When he joined, he initially dropped his number one in an attempt to prove a point and to get better performances from him. However, the relationship never recovered, with each side taking shots at each other in many years since then. However, this is always seen as a dark cloud over Iker Casillas, and for the way that he left the club during that time period, many Real Madrid fans felt like he stayed at the club for longer than what was necessary. Another key part of this was the rumour that Casillas was acting as a mole, leaking information from within the dressing room to his girlfriend, who was also a reporter at the time. Due to this feud, this also played a factor with how certain Real Madrid fans feel about Iker Casillas. So, there you have it. I hope you guys did enjoy today's video, and thank you for the incredible support in the last couple of days. both of the last 2 videos have hit 100,000 views in less than 24 hours, less than like 13, 14 hours. That's mental. Thank you. So if you're new here and you do enjoy the stuff, please do subscribe. I really want to get this channel to the next level, and I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing you tomorrow for another video. Enjoy your day, boys. Bye.